Hey, everybody. This is the Hope Resurrected podcast, and we are covering Genesis 32 tonight, or today, wherever you're at. So, we're going to start here with Genesis 32. Jacob wrestles with God. So, here we go. All right, so get your Bibles out and let's begin. So, chapter 32, verses 1 through 8. Early in the morning, Laban arose, kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. Then he departed and returned to his place. So Jacob went on his way and saw the host of God encamped. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's encampments." Then Jacob sent his messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, and he commanded them, saying, "Speak thus to my lord Esau. Thus your servant Jacob says, I sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkeys, sheep, and male and female servants, and I've sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in your sight." Then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he's also coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." So Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people with him and the oxen and sheep into two companies. Then Thus Jacob said, "If Esau comes to the one company and destroys it, then the other company will escape." So we see that Laban departed after agreeing that Jacob and the clan should go their separate ways forever now. This will be the last time that Laban ever sees his daughters and grandchildren. Jacob sees in verses 2 and 3 a vision of angels encamped. So he calls it God's encampments or armies of God. Note that they're encamped as he's coming back from Canaan. So it'll be a long time until Joshua, which is centuries after, for God to go to war with Canaan and the Canaanites and give the land to Israel. Though this will be done centuries later, Jacob sees that God is already setting up his armies of angels to be encamped there. So this is a reminder to Jacob of the promises that he will receive. Why this reminder? He has been gone for 20 years plus in another land, and he's been pursuing his own fortunes. It also shows God's timing. So God is preparing to fulfill these promises to him and his family. This promise is to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and all of Abraham's people. And this isn't just for the Abrahamites. Part of his promise coming true also requires Jacob to reintegrate himself into the family that he's been estranged from. So Jacob will have to step up, lead, and carry on a different role than what he's used to. Jacob's journey back home is not just a physical return, but one where he will return as a now more mature person. And he'll have his flaws, obviously, but he will mature as he continues on this path following God. So Jacob sends messengers to talk to Esau in Seir, where Edom will be and his descendants. Deuteronomy 2 will cover later that God gave Edom this land and that Moses and Israel are not to take a single piece of it from them. The perspective of Torah is not that just Israel is special. All Abrahamites are. So Jacob sends these messengers ahead because he knows Esau could still harbor a grudge, and this could go bad. So Jacob gets scared because they return and tell him that he's on his way bringing 400 men. Kind of like when Abraham gathered 318 men for battle, right? So that's kind of where Jacob's at in his mind here a little bit. A little worried. So verses 9 through 21. Again, Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, 'Return to your native land and I'll deal with you.' Let me be satisfied with all the righteousness and all the truth you've shown your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I've become two companies. Deliver me from the hand of my brother Esau, for I'm afraid of him, lest he come and attack me and the mother of my children. For you said, I'll surely treat you well and make your seed as the sand of the sea, which can't be numbered for multitude." So he lodged there that same night and took some of the things that he'd brought as a present for Esau his brother. He brought 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 sheep and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their offspring, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. Then he delivered them to the hand of his servants. "Go on before me and put some distance between successive droves." And he commanded the first one, saying, "When Esau my brother meets you and asks you, 'To whom do you belong, and where are you going?' you will say, 'Your servant Jacob's. These things are a present sent to my lord Esau, and behold, he's also behind us.'" So he commanded the first, the second, and the third, and all who followed the drove, saying, "In this manner you'll speak to Esau when you find him, and also say, 'Behold, your servant Jacob is coming behind us.' For he said to himself, 'I will make atonement with him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me.'" So the present went on before him, but he himself lodged that night in the encampment. So Jacob afraid makes plans so that he can have some method of escape for some of his clan if everything goes wrong, right? And he prays that God help and protect him from Esau. He prays the mother singular with children. So unfortunately, he is only worried about Rachel here. So not cool. He prepares gifts for Esau to have as a bit of a peace offering, and that's a lot of wealth he's giving to Esau here. Some texts say that I will appease him, but the Hebrew that is used is called kefor. So it rightfully should be atonement to him. So he's making reparations, not a sacrifice. Nothing is dying, punished, or being killed. And Jacob decides to give it one more night and sends his wives and kids ahead of him until he's alone. And Esau will run into them first, and we'll see he has wives and kids. Maybe he's going to spare him. You know, that's kind of Jacob's idea there. So verses 22 through 32. Jacob arose that night and took his 2 wives, 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. He took them and crossed over the brook and sent over what he had. Then Jacob was left all alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now, when he saw that he didn't prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip was dislocated as he wrestled with him. Then he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said to him, What's your name? He said, Jacob. And he said, Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men. Then Jacob asked, saying, Tell me your name, I pray. And he said, Why do you ask me about my name? So he blessed him there. And so Jacob called the name of that place the form of God, for I saw God face to face, and my soul was saved. And when the form of God passed him by, the sun rose on him, but he limped on his hip. Therefore, to this day, the children of Israel do not eat the muscle that shrank, which is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip and the muscle that shrank. So a man shows up in Jacob, and he wrestle. Jacob and this man wrestle until the day comes, all night. So this man ends up dislocating Jacob's hip. Jacob demands that the man bless him when the man says to let him go. This man is the second power of heaven and gives Jacob Grasper. That's his name. Jacob means grasper. He gives Jacob a new name, Israel, meaning struggles with God. The second power of heaven will be the roots from pre Christian Judaism, which will become ultimately the Christian Trinity doctrine. So that's where it comes from. Jacob's relationship with God is wrestling, struggling with God. The opposite of Islam, submission to God. So Jacob, his relationship is a struggle. Despite all of his faults, ultimately, Jacob wants God's blessing. God can take you being honest with him. Struggling with God is okay. God can handle it. No need for some blind submission to him. A father does not ask for full submission and domineering over a child, at least not a good one. Sorry, Calvinists. But anyways, God gives us the license to be fully human. So if anyone says the opposite of that, they're wrong. Just it is what it is. Um, God can take it. God can handle your problems. You know, he can handle if you don't like him for a minute or two, right? You can tell him. You can tell God that it's God's going to be okay with it. So Jacob asks God his name. So God blesses him, and Jacob calls that place the form of God because I saw God face to face today and my soul was saved. So it had a positive effect on him. From now on, Jacob has a limp to remind him of the struggle of God. God also answered Jacob's prayers from before, and Jacob gets blessed, but he's also given a reminder. So, yeah, he's got a limp. It doesn't seem great, right? But actually, it's good for him. He gets blessed by it because it's a reminder for him. So, you might be able to apply that to something in your life, where it might not be a good thing, but if it helps you remind you of God, like might actually be a positive effect. So, anyways, from now on, um, verse 32, I should talk about that. So, because of this event, Israelites do not eat the meat from the hip socket to remember this. Why is this important? Because that's where Jacob became Israel. This goes on perpetually for Israel's sons and their descendants the Jews to remind us and them. So this is a tradition that has been carried on where they don't eat the little bits of meat that are inside the hip socket, right? So I'm not sure if that's really followed fully today in Judaism still, but it is a tradition. So yeah, I would have to ask if that's still being used today. But anyways, so that is the end of chapter 32. And so we will do chapter 33 on the next time. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you liked it, hit like, subscribe, and we will be continuing this. We will keep doing this till I finish Genesis, and then we're going to do Exodus. So thank you. God bless. And I'll see you all on the next one. Goodbye.